Welcome in to Tuddy Talk, Week 8. I'm here by myself again, unfortunately. We have some scheduling conflicts. That's all right. It's been a rough few weeks. We'll get back into it as soon as we can. For now, you have me, and I'm going to get to it right away. Last week, Week 7, we had the competition for Dirty 30. That was the closest player to 30 points, and that ended up being Jordan Addison on Brittany's team. So, Brittany, you're not leaving here empty-handed. You still got your $10, and I couldn't be happier for you because that's going to end up going toward a tattoo, unfortunately. This week, Week 8, we will be having the competition Bad Read. That is the team that has the furthest underneath their projected points. So if you have projection of 115, you score 100, that's 15 points under. The person with the lowest points underneath their projection gets that $10. Good luck or bad luck to everybody else in the league. This week, I am going to do the projections and the power rankings a little bit differently. The power rankings will be done through the Fantasy Football Hub. It is a website where you enter in your league and it tells you, hey, these are the good teams, these are the bad teams, and with that, I'm going to include our playoff chances, which again is from the same people, the Fantasy Football Hub. So thank you to them. Starting at number 12 in the power rankings, we have Brittany. Unfortunately, I had to put you here because of that website, like I mentioned a couple seconds ago. I tried to avoid putting you here all year. Unfortunately, at 0-7, this is the breaking point. You had one of the best weeks you've had all fall, and unfortunately, it still isn't good enough. Your team this week is named Really Just the Vikings, and I think that's a very apt name. You have Madison and Addison on the bench, or on your team, and then you have Osborne on your bench. So, I mean, it's fitting. At this point, the playoff odds do not favor you. In fact, you have a 0% chance of making the playoffs, according to this website. Again, this could be a little bit mixed up because this website isn't 100% correct, but it's currently giving you a 0% chance of making the playoffs. In fact, it's giving you a 97% chance of finishing 12th. So how about you take that 2.5 chance of 11th and make it there? What do you say? At number 11, we unfortunately have me in this one. And I'm just going to read off this little note that the website gives us. These odds are calculated purely from the history of each team's scores this year. It does not take projections or buys into account. It uses that data to run 10,000 Monte Carlo simulations of each matchup given a team's average score and standard deviation. What that means is if you've been bad already, it's going to say that you are going to continue to be bad. I am not going to continue to be bad. We are starting this now. It says that I have a 1.59 chance of making the playoffs at all, with a 1% of that is going to the sixth seed. So I need some people to start losing. I need to stop losing these really close matchups because that's what did me in last year. And I don't want it to do me in this year again because, I mean, it's a tough road to walk down, and it's not fun to do year after year. And that's ultimately what we want from fun. From the league. My highest percentage chance right now is 11th place with about a 60% chance, 10th place with about a 20% chance. So, like I said to Brittany, let's try to change that. Let's alter our future. Yeah. Last week, I kind of got screwed over with Bijan. He got me 0.3 because of a headache, and now the Falcons should be fine for that. Brees was also on a bye, so this week will be the first week that I think I'm fully healthy, besides James Conner, but, I mean, I couldn't play him anyway. So, we'll see how it goes. Nate, I believe I'm playing you, so good luck to you this week. At number 10, we have Matt Gifford. Unfortunately, he is not here to be able to sign off on this power rankings, but I am. This is giving you an 8% chance to make the playoffs. So, better than me, but it's not great either. A 2.49% chance of the 5th seed and a 4.7% chance at the 6th seed. So, good luck there. It's still very small chances. Honestly, it's just us three that have very small chances in making the playoffs. And it's tough out there, unfortunately. Your team is okay. CJ Stroud is coming back. AJ Brown has been, he picked it up. I love it. I love to see what he's doing over there. George Pickens is whatever. Kenneth Walker is incredible. However, he's playing Cleveland this week, so I don't know how much you can expect from that. They have a pretty decent run defense. Another decent run defense is the Los Angeles Rams, who Tony Pollard is going up against. So your second running back also has a tough matchup. But again, I don't think those two are going to bust. I think they're both going to be fine. Kareem Hunt is your... You finally sat Calvin Ridley. I didn't even notice that. That's really funny. But he is playing Pittsburgh, so maybe put him back in there. I don't know. It's a tough call. Obviously, he has not been good at all this year. Besides week 1. And that's not what you want from him. If you want to hand him over, you can. It's not really a big deal if you don't. I'm not stressing over it. At number 9, we have Scott. Now, this one really hurts because I barely lost to you last week because of your kicker. He was able to pull out that win for you. Honestly, it shouldn't have come down to that. My team should have performed better, but this is where I'm at. This currently has you at about a 31.31% chance of making the playoffs, so a 1 in 3 chance. It's a solid chance, but at the moment you are currently out of the playoffs. Right now in the leaderboard, you are in the playoffs. Never mind. You're at number 6 right now. So continue that and you'll be able to make it. Currently your highest percentage chance is 14.8 for 6th and 10% at 5th. So you are a little bit underneath other teams, but we will get to those. I'm not a fan of your team. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I just don't think that it is up to snuff with the rest of the playoff teams. But I can't say anything because I just lost to you. So good win last week. We'll continue to see where we go from there. At number 8, I have Eric. I should be saying this. We've been flip-flopping spots from last week. Brittany went down 1, I went up 1, Gifford went down 1, Scott went up 1. And continuing the trend, Eric, you went down 1 to number 8. Now, starting off with your playoff odds, Let Them Cook has a current 15% chance for 6th, 9% for 5th, and about a 3% for 4th. Overall, you have about a 27.98% chance of making the playoffs. So just under Scott, but really the difference is negligible. So really, it's honestly this matchup this week between you and Scott is going to be a huge deciding factor on whether or not your odds increase or decrease for the next coming weeks into the playoffs. So really good luck here. You do get Jamar Chase back. That's really nice to see. And you don't have to play Geno Smith anymore. That's nice. Kyle Pitts, Evan Ingram. You have a solid team all around, but again, they just need to burst out. I don't like Gus Edwards. I know that I was proven wrong, but I will continue to be a Gus Edwards hater and a Baltimore running back hater. I don't care. That's just how it is. I deserved to get curb stomped that week when I called him out, but that's just how it goes for me in fantasy football. I've come to accept that. I made a deal with the devil to win this league twice, and well, that's where that gets me. Now facing the bottom of the league 2 years in a row. So there's always next year for me. At number 7, I have Tommy going up 1. Well, this website has Tommy going up 1. And you are worse, actually, for playoff odds. 20% chance to make the playoffs at all. Your highest percent chance, two highest, are 8th and ninth, with about a 20% chance of both of those. However, your highest percent chance of the playoffs is roughly 11.5% for 6th and 6.12 for 5th. So slim pickings for you. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but that's just how it's calculated based on this website. It's like I said earlier, it ran about 10,000 Monte Carlo simulations, and this is what it came up with. Currently, this week, you are going to be playing Gifford, and looking into the future, I am going to be picking you against Gifford. I think that your team can pull it off. You have a bunch of, I want to keep saying unproven, but they just keep on producing this year. To me, they are unproven guys that just they're good this year. And of course, your two elite tight ends who have proven to be fantastic. I was going to say just like Waddle and Hill last year, but we all saw where that got Zach. It didn't. Let's say that. Moving on to number 6, we have Paris, who is sticking around at 6th, just like last week. In the playoff simulator, you have about a 56% chance to make the playoffs, 23% for 6th, 20% for 5th, and getting a little better, 4th place, you have about 8.4% chance to make it there. So I like your odds right now. They're looking good, but this does not mean that you are guaranteed a spot. You're going to need to keep on kicking. Unfortunately, this week you are running into a buzzsaw in Chris, and it's not looking good with all the questionables and doubtfuls on your team. You have, 3 questionables in your starting lineup, and Jerome Ford is doubtful right now. So again, I'm going to say it for the 3rd week in a row, bring Khalil Herbert and Devon Achane into your IR so that you can add new talent and bring in new people. Otherwise, it's looking pretty suspect this week against Chris. Unless Patrick Mahomes decides to have another 50-point game, and let's be honest, that's just what he does. Moving on from there, we have number 5, Tatani. Again, staying in the same spot as last week, but that's just fine. Tatani, I am group. That's really good. Man, you're killing it with the names this year, and I love to see it. Thank you for playing along. You are currently sitting at about a 61% chance to make the playoffs. It's just going to continue getting better from here. But of the players outside of the 90% chances, you have the best odds of making the playoffs. And your best odd is 5th right now. And you are at about a 25% chance of getting the 5th seed in the league. Otherwise, you have a 20% chance for 6th and an 11.9, so 12% chance for 4th. Really, really good odds right now. Pretty good odds, I would say. About a 2/3 chance to get up there. This week, who are you playing? You're playing Brittany this week. So, it's just going to continue to improve your odds. I'm not going to be dumb here. I do think that you're going to win here, just because of everything that Brittany has had to go through. Kyron Williams is now out, and Jordan Addison, he got hurt, but it looks like he's going to be okay. But yeah, her team just isn't great this year, unfortunately. I'm still going to pick her against you, don't get me wrong, but if I was a betting man, I would choose you. Next up, at number 4, we have Sammy and Zach. Man, you guys just continue to roll, and it was unexpected to say the least from me. I'm sure you guys expected it the whole time, but I did not think that you guys would continue to roll. You have currently everybody here is above 95% chance to make the playoffs, and that's just unfortunate. We need to change that. You have a 96.05% chance, according to this website, to make the playoffs, with your highest one being the 4th seed at 35% chance. and then you have a 22% chance at third. So you're in a great place right now. You just have to continue to stay afloat. Don't let any losses pile up or anything like that, and you should be pretty good. Unfortunately, Raheem Mostert and Luke Musgrave, they're both questionable right now, so just keep an eye on that. Just like Paris, you can bring Damian Harris into your IR so that you can pick up another player. If either of you guys are listening this week, or if somebody can reach out to you, you are able to move that and pick up a new player. This week you are playing RIP Kyler Apple, unfortunately, and he's been really good too this year. I don't want to say under the radar because he's been winning every week almost. He's 6-1, and he's in first place, but he's a quiet first place, if that makes sense. So it's unfortunate that you have to face him this week. It's gonna be a rough one. At number 3, we have Apple. Speaking of him, actually, speak of the devil, the top side of the sandwich, if you will. And currently he has a 99% chance of making the playoffs. And 36% of that is the first seed, which I think is a little high. Personally, I mean, obviously I didn't do the calculations. I think that's a little high. 26% for second, 23% for third. I think those are a little more realistic in my eyes. This week, I do think that he's going to pull out the win, but man, he just does not catch any bad luck, it seems like. Kyler Murray should be coming back any minute now. And, I mean, this team is just going to get better and better. I don't know if you're going to end up starting Tua over Kyler, but either way, I think that you're going to be doing all right. Zay Flowers is starting to come into his own. Mike Evans is still producing, surprisingly, but Baker might be hurt this week, so keep an eye on that. Christian ended up coming back, and he's doing really well every week. I mean, it's only week 7, but man, he is looking like the best player in the league, and he should have been number 1 overall. That was a mistake on our fault, or on our part. Alvin Kamara has been surprisingly pretty good. Let me actually check out last. Oh my God, he got 23 points last week. This is wow. He's looking like his old self, and it took me this long. This is why you're a quiet first place to me, because I haven't been paying attention at all, and it shows in my record. So, that's how it goes. Once, oh, you'll have a decent stack with Hollywood Brown. Unfortunately, he's not looking too good as of late. But when Kyler comes back, all bets are off. Moving on. At number 2, we have Chris going down 1 from 1 last week. And, I mean, just like I said before, everybody has over 95% chance. This is saying that you have a 99.25% chance of making the playoffs. And, yeah, there's not much to say on that. You are currently at a 34% chance for first, 30% chance for second, and a 21% chance for third. And then minor chances for the other ones. Rounding errors, really. But all of them are still higher than my 1.09. So, congratulations on coming into the league and messing everybody up. Back at number 1, we have Nate. Too fast, too felonious. And he is looking like the top dog in the league at the moment. And so I understand. Right now, he does only have a 98% chance to make the playoffs, so take that as you will. And that sits at a 23% chance for first, 28% for second, and 23% for third. So really, it's those 3 fighting for the top 3 slots. And then Sammy's hanging in there, Sammy and Zach. Currently, looking at your lineup, you have 2 questionables in TJ Hawkinson and Tyreek Hill. It is looking like Tyreek might be out, just based on some speculation that people are making based on Tua's comments earlier today and earlier this week. He did not practice this week, or this Wednesday, excuse me, but that obviously doesn't mean much because they play in a few days. If he doesn't play, though, who do you have on your bench? I will look. You are looking at Gabe Davis, who, I mean, he can score 32. So I'm not hopeful in this matchup, unfortunately. TJ Hawkinson, on the other hand, I mean, he's also looking like he might not play. His status should be monitored closely, is what it says. He did not practice on Wednesday with a foot injury, but he did return to action on Monday night, so he should be okay. I think that TJ is just resting. If he doesn't go, currently you don't have a tight end, but tight ends are on the waiver. It doesn't really matter. All that being said, I will be beating you this week. Moving on to our predictions for this week, week 8. The first matchup is between me and Nate, like I just referenced, and I also just referenced that I will be winning. Devyn is going to take this win over Nate. I got to change my name. It's still Nate Mitchell. I'm sorry for the confusion. I am clearly not you. I just want to be in the seats of the winners. You and Chris both. I am going with me, and Gifford is going to go with you. So you have somebody rooting for you. That's really nice to see. Just looking at it, though, I think Lamar and Josh Allen are the same. I mean, Lamar has a better matchup. Arizona's going to be just, I mean, they're easier to play against. Tyreek might not play. Amon-Ra has been producing super high. Devonta Smith has been very bad. DJ Moore doesn't have a quarterback. Let's see. Bijan should be back to being Bijan. Jonathan Taylor hopefully will be back to being Jonathan Taylor. I believe he did okay. Oh, wait, no, that was Saquon. No, yeah, he did okay. 19.5 points. So Jonathan Taylor should be clearly back. Derrick Henry is going up against Atlanta, who actually have a really good run defense. So that's a little weary for me. Hopefully Austin Eckler is past his injury for me personally, because he's going up against Chicago, and I like that matchup. David Njoku is a joke. TJ Hawkinson is injured. Both questionable, though, so we'll see. And then in the flex, I do like my guy better. I like Brees over Dante Foreman. Obviously, Foreman scored like 3 touchdowns last week, but I don't expect that to continue. I don't have a kicker. I'll pick one up. Doesn't matter. And then Detroit and Philadelphia. Philadelphia is facing Washington, so they might get a few sacks because that's what Sam Howell does. Moving on to the next one. Let Them Cook versus Michael Myers. That is Eric versus Scott. I ended up going with Eric in this one, and looks like Gifford also went with Eric in this one. Sorry, Scott. Both of us are against you this week. Even with Waddle questionable and Aaron Jones questionable, Waddle went out, and that one confused me. But he did practice on Wednesday, unlike Tyreek Hill, which is telling, to say the least. Aaron Jones hasn't been great. Christian Kirk, also hasn't been great. So flex is a wash. Looking at running backs, nothing really stands out. I would say James Cook is the best of the 4 starting running backs in this league, which is saying a lot. Wide receivers, on the other hand, Waddle and Chase versus Devontae and Puka. That is where the sparks are going to fly in this matchup. Goff and Herbert, they're both pretty good. Everything is pretty even, but I'm still going to end up picking Eric in the end, and so is Gifford. Next up, RIP Kyler versus Sammy Genius Team and Zach 2. So Sammy and Zach versus Apple. Gifford and I both chose Apple this week. Sorry, Sammy. Sorry, Zach. But, personally, I need you to lose so that I can climb up in the ranks, because I need as many people to lose as I can get. It's already looking desperate for me, and I'm just at that point. Tua versus Kirk. I'm picking Tua, but they are playing New England, so that's a decent matchup for you, Sammy. Wide receivers. I am overwhelmingly going with Sammy and Zach. Running backs, we have Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. I don't know if anybody in the league can stack up against that. Isaiah Pacheco and Raheem Mostert are not that duo comparatively. Kincaid versus Musgrave, two solid rookies. However, Musgrave is questionable, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast. Hollywood Brown versus Kadarius Toney. Toney is not a guy that I would ever want to play. KC, I don't trust any of their guys. T. Higgins is sitting there on your bench. I know he hasn't performed. Actually, yeah, I'm going to leave it there. I know he hasn't performed, so why don't you send him over to a desperate team that really needs wide receiver help? Yeah, I went through everything, and I like Apple coming out of that one. Moving on to Wall Street versus Harris like France. We have Chris versus Paris, and I am choosing Chris, and, well, so is Matt. Both of us, again, we're unanimous on this. Jalen versus Mahomes. It's Mahomes, unfortunately. I have to concede that. Wide receivers. Kupp and Allen versus Cooper and Lockett, who was questionable. It's a clear case for Kupp and Allen. Running backs. I mean, Ford is probably going to be out. Zach Moss is being phased out because Jonathan Taylor is back, and he looked back this past week. Saquon Barkley, and Swift are both better than either one of your running backs pairs. Your tight ends are fairly even. Darren Waller, I think he's been back down to earth again, nope, I'm completely wrong. He scored almost 20 last week. And Dallas Goedert, I'm going to check before I speak again. He scored 16 last week, and he has a decent schedule for the next couple weeks before the bye. So, tight ends are both really good for you. Flex, Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf. Is Metcalf coming back this week? Yeah? Okay. I think he is. But, again, he's up against Cleveland. It's going to be a rough matchup for him. And that is why I'm going with Chris. The penultimate matchup that we have is Easy Pickens versus Young Hose. That is Tommy versus Gifford. And, well, no surprises here. I went with Tommy, and Gifford went with himself. In this matchup, I just don't really like Gifford's team. I've got to be honest. When he's not here, I can kind of speak openly about it. Just breaking it down stat by stat, I like Lawrence over Stroud. I do like Brown over either one of Tommy's wide receivers, Pittman and London. However, those two versus Pickens and Brown, I would have to choose the two lessers versus the one great one and mediocre one. At running back, they're fairly evenly matched. We have 4 workhorse running backs in this one. We have ETN and Mixon on one side, and then on the flip side, we have Walker and Pollard. That's pretty even. I like that. And this is where it goes into Tommy's favor for me. It's Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews versus Jonnu Smith and Kareem Hunt. It's very lopsided. I don't see a chance for Gifford here. Obviously, there's a chance, but I don't see it right now. The final matchup that we have, I am Group versus really just the Vikings. So Tatani versus Brittany. Like I alluded to earlier, I will be picking Brittany in this matchup, not because I think she will win, but because I believe in her in my heart, and I would like to see her win one. It gets really sad seeing her lose every week, and it makes me sad, makes her sad. So Tatani, if you want to really cheer us up this week and help us out, just raise the morale. Let Brittany win. On that note, Gifford did choose Tatani. So I'm going to break it down real quick. Joe Burrow versus Sam Howell. Joe is looking really good. He does get San Francisco this week. And honestly, they've been letting up a lot of points. So we'll see. They've kind of been exposed the last couple weeks. Wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Ayuk. Now, when I say those two names, they sound really, really good. However, you just don't know if they're going to pop off. CeeDee Lamb has not been CeeDee Lamb this year. On the other side, Jordan Addison just scored 30 points. Chris Olave, he just got arrested. So, What was it, 70 and a 35, I think. So we'll see. I doubt he'll get any kind of actual reprimand from that, but it's still not fun to see that. Overall, I would take that side though. I think Brittany's side is a little bit better. That's all. Just because I like Jordan Addison. Running backs, that is clearly Jacobs and Montgomery over Madison and Dillon. That's just an easy one. Unfortunately, Williams is injured, like I mentioned earlier. Tight end, Kittle versus Komet. It's Kittle, clearly. Nico Collins versus Josh Palmer. Now, I don't think we've seen what Josh Palmer can actually do. This week, they get Chicago, so a pretty easy matchup. And he did score almost 20 last week, 17.8. So Palmer is a legit threat. But again, Nico Collins is, he is the number one down in Texas, or down in Houston, excuse me. And coming off a bye, I think that he can do pretty well. With all that said, I am picking Brittany. Gifford is picking Tatani. And that is all I have for you for week 8. I am excited to continue this. Unfortunately, we have had to make some concessions with Gifford being gone. Hopefully that gets corrected next week. I want to say happy Halloween to everybody who celebrates, and to those who don't. What? I hope to see everybody at the Halloween party. I understand that some people can't make it. Just know that we will be thinking of you. We will take shots in your honor. I will see you all in week 9. Bye.